Let's listen in.
Give those guys, a lot of credit. We knew they wouldn't go away, and, they made the plays today. Coach Shanahan's a hell of a coach. That's a team that, they've done it, they lived it, and they made the plays. So credit to them. I'm really proud of all these guys. I am. It's hard when you lose that way. It's hard. You feel like you get your heart ripped out. So, but I'm proud of that group, and I'll go anywhere with that group. And you wish you could keep it all together, but that's not the reality. So, we did some really good things, but today we didn't do enough, and it's tough. It's questions.
And you had 2 fourth down decisions that were critical in the second half. And either one
that were what?
2 fourth down decisions that were critical in the second half. Neither one was converted.
Yeah.
Particularly the second one. Why not take a field goal there and maybe stem the bleeding a little bit?
Yeah, I just felt really good about us converting and getting our momentum and not letting them play long ball. They were bleeding the clock out. That's what they do. And I wanted to get the upper hand back, and it's easy hindsight, and I get it, I get that. But I don't regret those decisions, and that's hard. It's hard because, we didn't come through. It wasn't able to work out, but I don't. And I understand the scrutiny I'll get. That's part of the gig, man. But, we just didn't work out.
Dan, how do you process what happened in the second half? Some of the self-inflicted mistakes, I guess, that didn't seem to come up much of the year for you.
Yeah. It's been very uncharacteristic of us. We've always been able to get our momentum back, and it's hard to say. I honestly right now I can't put my finger on that. That's not like us. We had plays to be made that we just didn't make. We normally do, and some of the things third quarter we came out. I thought we did a really good job defensively, man. Held them to 3, and then got the ball back, moved it, and. But we just couldn't quite make those plays, and so third quarter, we've been there before, and so fourth quarter you feel like we're going to get it back, and we just couldn't quite get over the hump, and and that hasn't been us all year, and it showed up today at the worst time.
Dan, you did a lot of good things in the first half of this game. You got this far. I don't know if a lot of people picked you to come to the NFC title game, but disappointing end. But what do you learn from this experience? I'm sure you hope to get back here. You expect to get back here. But what do you learn from this experience of making it this far of the game?
Well, I think one of the things you always tell everybody who's never been here, and particularly the young players, is you don't know which play is going to make the difference, which one. You say that every game, but when you get in there with a heavyweight like Sam Fran, man, it is the difference. And sometimes you can only say so much. You got to live it, unfortunately. You got to get your heart ripped out, which we did. And it's a lesson learned. And look, I told those guys, this may have been our only shot. Do I think that? No. Do I believe that? No. However, I know how hard it is to get here. I'm well aware. And it's going to be twice as hard to get back to this point next year than it was this year. That's the reality. And if we don't have the same hunger and the same work, which is a whole nother thing, once we get the offseason, then we got no shot of getting back here. I don't care how much better we get or what we add or what we drive. It's irrelevant. It's going to be tough. Everybody in our division is going to be loaded back up, and you're not hiding from anybody anymore. Everybody's going to want a piece of you, and which is fine, which is fine. But so it's hard. You want to make the most of every opportunity, and we had an opportunity, and we just couldn't close it out. It stings. It stings.
And to go from that high of the 24-7 halftime lead to how it ended,
What is your locker room like right now? I'm sure you were celebrating at halftime, but you obviously were feeling very good. The level of crushing, I guess, for your players?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Yeah, I mean, nobody's happy. You know, they're very disappointed. You know, it's disappointing. And I think I said it pretty vividly. It's like getting your heart ripped out. And it's hard. You know, it's hard. And no, we didn't come in at halftime. We were doing backflips like, all right, we got this thing won. They know better. We all know better. We talked about it. We knew they were going to make a run in the second half. We talked about it. We knew we were going to have to weather a storm in the second half. And so when they started to make a push, we weren't surprised. We just couldn't counter back. And we've always been able to counter back. We just couldn't quite do it in this one.
What is the message, both in the moment and big picture, to a player like Kendall, who is on the wrong side of a play like that, on the how you catch?
Listen, what we talked about is, man, you fight every play, man, and you make them earn everything they get. He was in phase, and he competed, and it didn't work out. And you know what? That's life of a cornerback. It's life of a quarterback as well, those two positions. And listen, it happens, and you go back for the next play. And long term, you know what? That won't be the next time that happens, unfortunately. It's every corner gets put on an island at different times. And so you just keep going. You just keep fighting. And that's what I want, and that's what I'm looking for. What I don't want is a player who looks scared and doesn't get up there and challenge, but a guy who'll go up there and mix it up and isn't afraid of who he's lined up over. You know what? Give up play. Nobody feels good about it. Certainly, a player doesn't. But I know they're fighting.
You mentioned it a little bit in your opening comments, Dan. There's a lot of emotions at the end of a game, but particularly at the end of the season. Can you just expand a little bit more on just knowing that the locker room, your coaching staff might look, quite a bit different? I guess the challenge, the finality of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Everything that I'm a firm believer in. Everything's got to be right, and everybody just thinks that it's just talent or it's just coachability. And the more talent you get, and the better coaches or the more well known, then you're just automatically going to be good. And that's not the truth at all. It's not. Does it help? Yeah, it helps as long as they are compatible and there is a chemistry and there's teamwork and there's an unselfishness and you leave the egos at home, and that's hard. It's hard to do that, and so you set it up. Well, now it's just going to look different, and it's got to be right again. It's got to be right. Some of the players, potentially some of the coaches, man, we've got to start over, and we got to find the right mix, the right balance, and it's got to be right. Because otherwise, I'm a firm believer, you don't have a chance if it's not. You'll become average quickly.
The three more questions, starting with Dave.
It's probably too early in the moment right after a game like this, but at what point do you think, if at all, you'll be able to appreciate what you guys accomplished this season, getting here, and the amount of success you had leading up to tonight?
That's tough. And I've said that word a lot tonight. And I hate it. I should not. You're asking me right now, and I feel like we're no different than anybody else. And that's what, unless you're the Super Bowl winner, that's what this feels like. It's hard. And we did accomplish a lot, but there's just, there's a piece of me that I just feel like we're, a little bit like everybody else who didn't make it, and everybody else who lost. Unless you're San Francisco, and who won the other one? I don't even know. KC. Then you got a pretty bad taste in your mouth. And it's what's great about this sport, what's great about the game, it's what's great about the tournament, and it's also what just crushes you.
The last two will be Jack and Mitch.
Dan, coming out halftime, you get the Ayuk catch and the fumble. Is that like a double gut punch you could never see coming?
No, I mean, look, we knew they were going to make a play. I mean, you'd like to believe that it's not going to be that, but I don't. We knew they were going to make some plays. It was just a matter of time, and I don't care how good you're playing. Ayuk's a good player, and Purdy does a good job of giving those guys a chance to make plays. Kittle's a good player. Debo's a good player. So at some point, you knew something was going to happen. You got to be able to answer back, and you got to be able to contain it, and we weren't able to do that.
Last question.